Yo, 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 what is up, YouTube? BK Brad Kellner. Today is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. We're talking Texas football today. This is a recorded video, as you can probably tell by this point. Going to start producing more recorded videos on this channel. For the most part, everything I've done has been live content. I'll keep the live chats, the live streams coming your way. I'll try to do 1 to 2 of those per week so I can interact with you guys in real time. But in an effort to pump out more content, I'm going to start releasing some recorded videos as well. And these will be a lot shorter, right? The live chats, the live streams generally go from 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes a little bit longer than an hour. If you guys have a lot to say, these recorded videos will be sort of a radio segment length deal. That makes sense. 10 to 20 minutes. Just want to give a thought, a take, whatever's on my mind regarding Texas Longhorn sports. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you have yet to do so, and tap that little notification bell as well, so you're always informed whenever I release new content, whether it's these recorded videos or if I go live, so you guys can be a part of the live chats. And before we dive into today's video, I want to mention that this channel and this video is sponsored by Last Stand Hats. Check them out, laststandhats.com. I've got the all gas, no brakes lid right now. You saw a bunch of Texas players and coaches rocking these during the orange-white scrimmage a few weeks ago. The best damn Texas hats in the land. Use code BK10 at checkout to get 10% off your purchase of any Last Stand hat. Once again, laststandhats.com, and that code is scrolling across the bottom. So y'all will be able to see that. All right, today's video, we're talking Texas football, and we're talking Steve Sarkisian. And guys, as you can tell by the title of this video, Steve Sarkisian is sending a message to his offense, and he is sending a message to his fan base. What is that message? He trusts himself. Steve Sarkisian trusts himself as an offensive mind and as an offensive play caller. And it's pretty obvious. I don't think this is that hot of a take. It's pretty obvious that Sark is putting a lot of faith in himself by some of the moves that he has made this offseason. You take a look at the players that Texas has picked up through the transfer portal this offseason. Darian Dunn, Devin Richardson, Ben Davis, Ovia Gofu, Ray Thornton. What do all 5 of those guys have in common? They all play defense. Paulie Naote from USC. A couple of reports out there saying that he's committing to Texas. What side of the ball does he play on? Defense, another linebacker. That would be 6 transfers. Right now, Texas is at 5 in this cycle. But if Naote comes here, he commits and puts pen to paper and ultimately ends up at Texas, that would be 6 transfer portal acquisitions for Steve Sarkisian, all 6 of them coming on the defensive side of the football. Guys, Texas's offense could use some help. I think there are a couple of positions on that side of the football that could use plug-and-play impact players. But Steve Sarkisian is sending a message to his guys on campus and also to this fan base that he trusts himself. Now, whether he thinks he could turn water into wine or he believes that the guys on offense are good enough to compete for a conference championship this year, I don't know. But the fact that Sark is allowing his defensive coaches to address their needs through the transfer portal, and he's kind of standing pat, tells me that he's confident in himself and he's confident in what he has to work with. He's incredibly unselfish by doing this, by the way. I mean, you look at Tom Herman and Tom Herman's tenure here in Austin. And look, this is a little bit of an apples to oranges comparison because, well, we just enacted the one-time transfer rule. So that makes things a whole hell of a lot different. And obviously the transfer portal has picked up steam over the last couple of years too. But you look at Tom Herman's grad transfers, and I only stick with grad transfers for Tom Herman because those were the immediate plug-and-play players, right? Like now with the one-time transfer rule, anybody that Texas gets can play right away. Normally, some of these guys would have to sit out a year, but because of the one-time transfer rule enacted by the NCAA, anybody can come in and play right away for Texas. For Tom Herman, his only ability to do that was to acquire players through the grad transfer market. And you look at the guys Tom Herman picked up. Trey Watson, running back. Calvin Anderson, offensive lineman. Parker Braun, offensive lineman. Tariq Black, last year, wide receiver. I mean, pretty much every grad transfer, plug-and-play transfer that Tom Herman got during his tenure in Austin was on the offensive side of the football. Steve Sarkisian, incredibly unselfish, and he's putting his faith in the guys that he has on campus right now. Guys, I think there are opportunities to really improve this roster on offense. There have been a couple of offensive linemen that have entered the portal that I would have really liked Texas to take a look at. But Sark, to this point, hasn't done it. Now, there are still a few scholarships open for Texas this offseason. So maybe, over the next couple of weeks to months, Sark decides to address some position issues on offense. But to this point, guys, it's been all defense. It has been all defense. And you talk about Xavier Worthy. I can already hear some of you commenting right now. What about Xavier Worthy, BK? Well, Xavier Worthy's not a transfer. He is considered a recruit. He's considered part of the class of 2021 because he didn't play at all at Michigan. And Sark's going to recruit. We know that. He's going to recruit the offensive side of the football. We've seen that already, and I don't expect that to continue. But Xavier Worthy's not a guy who is going to be expected to make an immediate impact for this team. Hopefully, he can contribute in some form or fashion this year, and hopefully he has a great career on the 40 acres. But, guys, it's probably worst-case scenario if Xavier Worthy is getting significant playing time this season. It probably means one or two of the expected starters at wide receiver got hurt, and that would be a problem for Texas. So Xavier Worthy's not a guy, in my opinion, who's going to be relied upon or expected to be an immediate impact player as a true freshman. Down the road, yes. This year, hopefully not. But guys, that wide receiver room could use some immediate help. They could use some immediate help. I mean, there's not a lot of depth at that wide receiver position. That's my biggest concern on offense is the lack of depth at wide receiver. I feel good about the 4 starters that Texas has. I feel good about Jordan Whittington. Feel good about Jake Smith. Feel good about Troy O'Meary. I feel good about Joshua Moore. But all 4 of those guys have injury histories. I mean, Jake Smith broke his foot on the first day of spring ball. Couldn't participate the rest of the spring. Troy O'Meary coming off a torn ACL. He was a limited participant this spring. Jordan Whittington, how much time do you have? I mean, he's dealt with a number of injuries during his time at Texas. Joshua Moore has battled injuries during his time at Texas as well. So I feel good about those 4 guys. But, man, if you're Sark, like if I was Sark, I'd be looking in the transfer portal to see if I can find an immediate contributor at wide receiver, a guy who can help right away just in case one of those guys goes down. Or hell, none of those guys have really solidified themselves as like a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. If you've got a chance to bring in a guy who can compete with one of those 4 guys, even when healthy, then why not? Like that is something I would have looked at if I was Steve Sarkisian, but Sark's not doing that, at least to this point. Then you look at the offensive line, guys. Texas returns the vast majority of its 2 deep on the offensive line, but the offensive line last year wasn't very good, and you lose Sam Cosmi, who was far and away your best offensive line player last year. There have been a couple of offensive linemen who have put their names in the portal that I would have loved Texas to take a look at, and Sark hasn't offered any of those guys. So he is betting on himself, and I love the confidence. But, guys, if we get into the season and Texas looks like, man, they're a body or 2 short on the offensive line and they're a body or 2 short in the wide receiver room, then I think Sark is setting himself up for some criticism there. I really do. I really do. Running back, you're fine there. Quarterback, you're fine there. I mean, we'll see what happens with Casey Thompson and Hudson Card, but realistically, you're not going to be able to get an impact player from the transfer portal at quarterback, right? Most guys transfer because they're not happy with their playing time at their previous stop. They're not going to go enter a quarterback competition. And odds are there's nobody out there that's better than both Casey Thompson and Hudson Card. So QB, running back, you're probably fine. Tight end, you have a lot of bodies, plus Jatavion Sanders coming into the mix soon. You're probably good there. But wide receiver and offensive line, if I was Sark, I'd be going after those positions in the transfer portal, and he's not doing that. So that's selflessness from Steve Sarkisian. That's also probably a belief that the defense needs as much help as it can get. But a little bit of shocking. I mean, a little bit of a shock to me, guys. Like Mike Leach, I assume Mike Leach, as great of an offensive mind as he is, if he can address his offense through the portal, he's going to do that. We've already seen Lincoln Riley do that at Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley, for my money, the best offensive mind in college football. Well, he's picked up a running back. He's picked up a wide receiver. He's picked up an offensive lineman through the portal in this cycle. And Oklahoma has more talent on offense than Texas does. And Sark is betting on himself. He's sending a message to this fan base, and he's sending a message, more importantly, to the guys on his offense right now that he's going to rely upon them to be the guys who get it done this fall. So what else? What else do I want to mention here? Oh, by the way, I forgot to give this little nugget. I'm looking at Bill Connolly's returning production charts for 2021. There are 127 Division I FBS college football teams. In terms of returning offensive production, Texas ranks 104th on the list. 104 out of 127 teams in terms of returning offensive production. You lose a bunch with Sam Ehlinger. Keontae Ingram obviously entered the transfer portal. He's gone as well. You lose Brennan Eagles, who was one of your top receivers last year. Obviously, you lose Sam Cosmi on the offensive line. You're losing a lot from last year on the offense. So it seems like the obvious thing to do would be to address that lack of returning production in the transfer portal, but Sark's not doing that. So it's not like, Texas has everybody on offense coming back and they're going to be perfectly fine there. It's, man, they're losing a lot of production and you're still not addressing some of your wants and needs in the portal. Very interesting. Sark betting on himself. We will see if it works out, but he's showing some confidence. And man, if this offense can look anything close to the offense we saw from Steve Sarkisian at Alabama in either of the last 2 years, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. There are still some talented pieces on that side of the football. Bijan Robinson stays healthy as long as he gets the ball. You've got a chance to be really, really good on offense, but just interesting. An interesting observation for me. And once again, I don't think it's all that hot of a take. I think it's pretty obvious based on the transfer portal acquisitions for Steve Sarkisian this offseason that he feels good with what he has on offense, or at least he's confident enough in himself to believe that he could turn water into wine and make chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Once again, first recorded video, I think, ever on this channel. But we'll do way more of these. These take a whole hell of a lot less time, so I'll be able to pump out more recorded videos on this channel. Please like this video if you haven't yet. Please comment as well. I'll go back and check the comments. So if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, any ideas for future videos, let me know. This channel is for you guys, so I would love to bring some great content to y'all as often as I possibly can. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm not sure if I have mentioned that within the last 30 seconds, but subscribe if you would be so kind. And click that little notification bell so you know whenever I release new content, whether it's recorded or live. Once again, laststandhats.com. Use code BK10 at checkout for 10% off your order of any Last Stand hat. And listen to the triple option with RBKD every weekday from 3 to 7. All right, guys. Appreciate the love. Thank y'all so much for watching and supporting this channel. Until next time, y'all stay safe, y'all stay healthy, and hook 'em.